Hello and good evening. Today it is Friday, July 24th, 2020. And for this video today, I will be sharing my thoughts on Seattle's NHL franchise now that its name has been unveiled. On top of that, truth is, I will be going into detail and discussing everything for the most part that has been unveiled by Seattle's NHL franchise today. So before I go any further, Seattle's NHL franchise will be called the Seattle Kraken. In this video today, I will be discussing their name, their logos, and their uniforms, and their branding as a whole, and I will be sharing my thoughts on all of it. Truth is, as I'm filming this right now, I'm expecting this to be quite a long video. I don't expect all viewers to want to sit down for all of this, but for the purpose of this video today, I want to cover everything and share my thoughts on everything and elaborate on all of the details here. So coincidentally, notice how the screen that you're watching right now is a pure black screen. So basically, I'm having a little bit of fun here playing into this whole deep blue sea, dark, underwater mythological sea monster theme that the Seattle Kraken will be utilizing once they join the NHL. So I got the black screen, and now we're moving into a darker blue where we're at the bottom of the ocean, and now we're coming up a little bit, and 3, 2, 1. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. This is the new primary crest for the Seattle Kraken of the National Hockey League. So, truth is, I'm not really too sure where I should start. How about we start with the name Seattle Kraken? I think that would be the most appropriate place to start. So, I know a lot of people are big fans of the name Seattle Kraken. They think it's really cool. I mean, if you do feel that it's a great name and a great identity, I totally respect your opinion. And the truth is, I'm very happy for you. But honestly, in my personal opinion, I'm not a fan of the name Kraken. Most people that I have actually talked to today regarding the name of this franchise are on the same boat as me. They are not fans. I honestly think it's a name that just doesn't fit Seattle, in my opinion, as good as some will probably argue. I was hoping that Seattle would have gone in a more historic direction. Truth is, I would have even been happy with Seattle Sockeyes. I was hoping they would have either potentially got the naming rights to the Seattle Thunderbirds, or if they went and went back and paid homage to their past and went with the name and branding of the Seattle Totems. Another name I would have been okay with would have been the Seattle Sockeyes, and another name as well, the Seattle Schooners. But as I say all that, although I am honestly not the biggest fan of the name Kraken, I honestly feel it's a name that's probably going to be looked at like the Minnesota Wild at some point in the future. I know a lot of people will not like me saying that. But to me, it's not a very good name for a professional big league franchise. And I know a lot of people will not agree with me there. But, I mean, in my opinion, the name Kraken would be better suited for either an American Hockey League franchise or any league below that level. But obviously, Seattle's NHL ownership group feels otherwise, and a lot of people out there feel otherwise. So this is their name. And although the name Kraken is not my preferred choice, I do have to say this though. I have to give a tip of my hat to the Seattle ownership, the Kraken ownership, and the Adidas design team, because I was honestly expecting the Kraken's logo or the Kraken logo to be an absolute dumpster fire. And I have to be honest, although this logo is not my favorite logo, it's far, far better than what I was anticipating we were going to see today. To be honest, I really, really respect the Kraken for the S-shaped logo. It's a really nice homage to Seattle's history. It's a really nice homage to the Seattle Metropolitans, who were, in fact, the very first American hockey team to ever win the Stanley Cup. I think that's a really great homage. I also really like the subtle Kraken tentacle that subtly creeps up the S here, and then you see the red eye, and it gives this, and basically what Adidas has done is they've created this brand package for the Kraken, and sorry to be going into these really fancy technical words and all that, but they've got this design to give it a bit of a mysterious feel. And, you know, I actually think that the new logo of the Kraken is actually not bad. It's not my favorite logo in the world, but compared to what I thought it was going to be, it's actually something that I can live with. So normally I'm not a big lover of beveling effects that you see here. The idea behind that, from what I gather, is to give it more of a three-dimensional feel and to also kind of pay tribute to the crafting of a ship vessel. A very interesting idea. The logo is quite interesting. Truth is, it does kind of remind me a little bit of graffiti art. A little bit. I've seen some people say it's kind of reminiscent of the logo of Suzuki, which is a car manufacturer from Japan. I do kind of see those similarities here, I'm not going to lie, but I do think this is distinct enough that it will work. So why don't we go into some more detail now? And let me just take a moment here. So basically the idea of the Kraken, believe it or not, is that Seattle is supposedly home to the giant, native home to the largest species of octopus in the world. So before I go any further, this is their new wordmark logo. Notice it has that same beveling effect. It's kind of meant to kind of be like wood flooring and wood crafting of a ship. That's an interesting idea. But I'm going to be honest, when I think of Kraken, I think of Pirates of the Caribbean. I think of Clash of the Titans, the film that was made about a decade ago. And ultimately, yes, the rum. And I've always felt that the name Kraken and this mythological creature, the Kraken, doesn't really fit into Seattle and their branding. But the idea of subtly acknowledging the giant Pacific octopus, the largest octopus species in the world, and basically the nautical theme that Seattle was aiming to go with, kind of like Seahawks, Mariners, and the Sounders are all, from what I gather, I know the Mariners are a nautical type name in terms of to do with the boating industry and sailing. And I see what the Kraken have done here with the style of beveling here. And it's a rare case where I think the beveling is actually all right. So, as they say in their description here, and this is from their website, our maritime city with a proud history of adventure is deserving of a hockey club as untamed as the sea herself. The Kraken represents the fiercest beast in all the world, too large and indomitable to be contained by man. So I'm not going to bother reading out the rest of that. It's kind of a little bit redundant at this point, in my opinion. So the main thing I want to get at here, the largest octopus on planet Earth lives right here in Puget Sound, the giant Pacific octopus. If that's a big part of the idea of the branding, it makes the Kraken name more tolerable, in my opinion. So there you go. So the fact that case makes it a little bit more workable, in my opinion. So I want to get in here and really discuss the details of this, of what they call the logo anatomy. So the Seattle Metropolitans are obviously a big influence in the decision behind an S shape or a letter S for their logo, which I actually think is a really nice homage. I tip my hat to the Kraken once again for acknowledging the hockey history of Seattle by doing that. So hidden in the shadow, you notice that Kraken tentacle coming up. It's an interesting concept. So then you see the red eye, where see from what the Adidas designer Matt Merrill was saying, the red eye is meant to give it a mysterious feel, that the Kraken is there, but you can't see him because it's too late. And its strike will be swift and devastating. And carved from the sea. This is another thing I want to show you, viewers. So Seattle is a city built by the sea, obviously. Hands cracked and cold, salty. Clean bevel of a freshly carved vessel is a reminder. So, freshly carved vessel. That idea and that reasoning behind the beveling is actually quite clever in my personal opinion. So, here's where things get a little bit more interesting. So, first off, I've talked obviously about the main logo, and the word mark. So, notice the new secondary logo. Notice how it's an anchor. It's got that same beveling, but notice at the top how it forms the shape of the iconic Seattle Space Needle. I think that's a little subtle addition that's actually not too bad. So once again, like Adidas did with the Vegas Golden Knights, notice how the secondary logo is based on city iconography, where the star on the shoulders of the Golden Knights jerseys is from their famous Welcome to Las Vegas sign. Where obviously the top of this middle portion of this secondary logo is obviously inspired by Seattle's famous Space Needle. So another thing that I want to take a moment to show you, the viewers out there, is the away jersey version of these logos. Notice the thick midnight blue trim around their logo. I think that actually helps bring it out a little bit. Notice the dark beveling of the shoulder patch anchor logo. Truth is, I know a lot of people like the secondary logo, but I gotta be honest, I do feel that Seattle, I just feel that the anchor is something that I've seen before, and I was kind of hoping that they would do something a little bit more unique. I think it's okay. For these being their first uniforms and as a franchise, I do think the secondary logo is not bad. But this logo package is not terrible. But do I think it's timeless? I don't. That's my opinion, and I don't expect all to agree. Oh, and another thing I do want to mention, later on in the video, there's something very, very interesting that Matt Merrill did acknowledge today. And I'm going to not get into it until much later in the video, but the reason I'm mentioning it now is because it has to do with future uniform designs, which I found very, very interesting. So I'm not a big fan of the beveling on this version of their secondary logo. It kind of, see, it's meant to be two different hues of blue. It kind of almost looks like a shade of black and gray from this shot here. But is it terrible? No. And once again, I'm actually impressed with the logo package that the Seattle Kraken have come up with today. So speaking of the Kraken's branding, they've actually already unveiled their home and away jersey designs. So here's the thing that I do want to get at, though. I want to discuss their color scheme. So according to Adidas, the Kraken have gone with the darkest hue of blue that Adidas could possibly conjure up that is not black. So deep sea blue is what they are calling it. I called it midnight blue. My bad. So notice how it's a very dark blue, Now notice this ice blue. They kind of got the idea of this color based off of Mount Rainier, which is a clever idea. So you've got boundless blue. You've also got shadow blue. And then I have to confess, I find the name of their red really cool. Red Alert. Nobody's ever done that before from what I've seen. So that I applaud Seattle for the creativity there. But the main kicker that I want to get at here is that notice how there are 4 different shades of blue and red. Very interesting choice. Is it a unique color scheme overall with all the different colors together? Yes. But are the uniforms as unique as I think they could have been? Personally, I don't quite agree with that. So I think the thing that I should get into now is their uniforms. So what I will do is I will take a moment here I just want to make sure that I give you, the viewers, the best photos that I can conjure or put together for the purpose of this video this evening. So bear with me for a moment. So all they showed regarding the Kraken away uniform design is a screenshot. I'm a little bit disappointed that Adidas and the Seattle Kraken did not give us a full-blown proper jersey unveiling of both of the jerseys together. And not just that, but somebody modeling both the home and away jerseys for the Kraken. So notice on the inside neckline, it'll say Kraken inside a red line inside the inside of the collar. Notice that the collar is completely white. Adidas, please fix your collars. I'm not a fan of their collar style at all. I do wish that they would have at least had a bit of navy blue or deep sea blue, as they call it, trim along the top of the collar. Just something to put a little bit of color there. So notice the darker shoulder patch logo. And notice the new number and lettering font. It's a relatively modern font. Truth is, when I first saw it, it subtly reminded me of the Edmonton Oilers jersey font from their old 2000s alternate jersey. So this is their away jersey design. Notice the ice blue, and then I can't remember the name of the second blue, and then a bit of navy blue, and then a thin red stripe and navy blue on the cuffs of the sleeves. Then notice the striping on the bottom where it's navy, red, navy, and then the icier blue. Interesting choice here, but notice the 2 hues of lighter blue here. The problem I have with their away jersey design is that, in my opinion, I think these 2 shades of blue, on a computer mock-up like this, you can see them no problem. But I think that once we see these jerseys on the ice, you're going to have trouble telling those 2 shades of blue apart. And I want to get into that in a lot more detail as I progress through the video. So notice the thin red stripes. There's an interesting idea there that Adidas brought in. But what I'm going to do now is I want to talk more in depth about the Kraken and their home jersey design. And please bear with me for a moment as I try to find my photo here. So this is what the Seattle Kraken's home jersey design will look like. Truth is, between the 2 jerseys, I do feel that their home jersey design is a lot better than the away jersey design. Now, this jersey is interesting. Truth is, the design and style of this jersey does remind me a little bit of those late 1990s era navy blue Vancouver Canucks jerseys. I'm not saying that this is similar. I'm just saying that it reminds me of those jerseys because I remember growing up always seeing those navy blue Orca era Canuck jerseys. And for anybody curious, I do like this uniform here better than the jersey I'm referring to from the Canucks, just for the record. But notice how you've got the multiple different shades of blue here. You've got the deep sea blue as the base. You've got the ice blue. Then the blue gets a little darker. Then you have the navy blue again, and then the red alert, or alert red, or just red, right? Because every color has to have a special name to it. And then the cuffs of the arms is back to navy blue. So according to Matt Merrill and the Adidas design team, the method behind the madness here is that here you've got the ice blue. And notice how this jersey is essentially devoid of white. There's no white. It's very monochromatic. Color on color, that's it. So the idea here is that the ice blue is meant to kind of pay homage to Mount Rainier. And then this slightly darker hue of, I don't really know what to call it, like a grayish blue color. It's meant to kind of be more like the surface of Seattle, the surface of the water, and then the deepness of the ocean. And then that red alert is where it gets deep enough in the ocean that, oh my God, I'm going to encounter the Kraken. That's kind of the method behind the madness here. And what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to elaborate on the mindset of the Adidas design team and what they were thinking when they were creating this design, this logo package, this brand, this jersey, and this uniform. And the pants are strictly navy blue, and the socks have the same striping as the arm striping design here. So this design is interesting, but one thing I don't like, once again, is these two hues of lighter blues. In my opinion, this is an example where, in my opinion, they did not spend enough time looking at this design from a distance, because I think that what's going to happen is these two colors are going to bleed in together. And truth is, here is what I would have done myself. Now, according to the fan surveys, and Matt Merrill and Nick Corbett were in a video discussing this, and it was really good that they were willing to go into a little bit of the behind-the-scenes discussion about their design and the process that they had towards coming up with this final package you see here. But one thing, they said that the fans made it clear they wanted either blue and green or blue or green. Now, I actually feel that this Kraken branding was a real missed opportunity, because the idea of the deep sea blue as the main color to give the whole Kraken, mysterious Kraken branding is actually really good. I'm a fan of the navy blue, the dark deep sea blue being their home jersey color. But here, this darker shade of light blue, grayish slate blue, you know what I would have done there? I would have made that some type of teal, some type of greenish color, whether it's a teal or even some type of Kelly green. And the reason I would have done that is to make that spot, to help differentiate these two colors here more, where if this was more of a teal color, it would pop more. And you would especially notice that with the away jersey, because in my opinion, the ice blue is going to bleed into the white jersey base and it's not going to look good. So if this, what the hell color, what the hell did they call it as their color? Let me go into the exact detail here. I want to make sure I get this right for you, the viewers. So the shadow blue is what that color is called, I believe. The boundless blue is for the away uniform and the shoulder patch, if I'm not mistaken. So the shadow blue. So this color here, if it was subbed out for some type of lighter teal color, that would have really helped make this pop more. And I think it would have actually made it a little bit more unique as well. That would have really stood out. It really would have helped tie in the green and Seattle being the Emerald City. It would have been a really nice homage to that and much better than what they came up with here, at least in my opinion. And the shoulder patch does look decent here. But I have to be honest, although I think that this S logo, in my opinion, is probably the best thing you could come up with for Kraken, I do think it would be better served as a shoulder patch. Something that I think would be cool under the circumstances of their decision to go with the name Kraken would have been maybe a ship being consumed by the Kraken. Some old 18th century ship. Something like straight out of the Pirates of the Caribbean or something. I think something like that could have been cool with this logo on the shoulders. But as I say that, though, I definitely feel this is a good start. But here's the problem that I have with Kraken as well. I mean, now that I've learned some of the ties to the city of Seattle, the giant Pacific octopus, the history behind it, the Scandinavian history in Seattle, the thing is, the name Kraken, now I see a bit of the method of the madness behind the name. But honestly, with a name like Kraken, in my personal opinion, it's very hard to create a very good, classic, timeless brand out of it. Do I think this is a logo and uniform package that will last for decades to come? Personally, I don't get a timeless feel from this. Where if they went with a name like, say, the Seattle Totems or the Seattle Thunderbirds, I feel that they could have made a beautiful, timeless logo, brand, and uniform set. And another thing, too, that I was really hoping for was some type of either teal or a Kelly green. I mean, the navy blue suits the name Kraken very, very well. But I just feel that for Seattle, it would have been so damn nice to see another team wearing green. I mean, we have a lot of teams in hockey and in sports as a whole that wear some type of blue. Green is a color you see a lot less of. And I really do feel that the Kraken, the Seattle NHL team, did miss an opportunity there as well. So personally, I'm disappointed with that. They could have gone with anything from Totems to Thunderbirds. I was really hoping for Totems. That's the name that the original plan or expansion bid for an NHL franchise back in the 70s, that's what they would have gone with. I think that would have been a wonderful homage to them. The name Thunderbirds and their logo and uniforms are, in my opinion, superior to this by far. I know not everyone will agree. Another name that I think could have worked would have been Seattle Cougars. I've heard Seattle Sasquatch kicked around. I'm not a fan of that name. I don't think the logo and identity package would have been very good at all. I actually feel that the Kraken identity is better than what they probably would have come up with for Sasquatch. Sockeyes would have been a name that I could have lived with as well, but I think that name was having copyright issues with the Seattle NHL team, and that's ultimately a big part of Kraken being the final decision. Another name that I've thought about tonight before I filmed this video here now was actually the Seattle Schooners. I think that would have been a wonderful homage to Seattle's Seattle being a city right along the Pacific Ocean, playing along the nautical theme of multiple franchises, professional sports teams in Seattle, such as the Mariners. And another name that I've heard too is Seattle Breakers, but I think Seattle Schooners could have been a wonderful identity as well. And according to Adidas, supposedly they looked at over 1,000 different name suggestions or something like that. It's quite a bit to narrow things down to. But I gotta be honest, I'm not sold on the Seattle Kraken. But as I say that, though, I think that Adidas and the Seattle ownership group deserve a huge tip of the cap for taking a name that I think is not good and actually creating a logo package that's not bad. Now, I think this S logo would be better as a shoulder patch, but as the first primary logo in franchise history for this club, I actually think they could have. I was expecting much worse. And it's definitely not the worst logo that I've seen. So it's a very, very interesting direction that they've gone in. Personally, I certainly would not have gone with the Kraken. I feel, according to what I've been hearing, for being somebody under the age of 30, I'm a rare breed of hockey fan that prefers a more traditional name. I mean, with Seattle having decades of hockey history, I wanted them to have a team name that acknowledged that history. But the Kraken going with that letter S logo and doing their logo based around the letter S. Very, very nice subtle homage to the very first American hockey team to win the Stanley Cup, the Seattle Metropolitans. I do think that Seattle is deserving of a little bit of credit, but I'm not sold on the name. I'm also not completely sold on the uniforms, especially the away jersey. I still very much feel that this was a huge, huge missed opportunity to utilize either some type of teal or, better yet, a hue of Kelly green. They could have even gone with a darker green, as far as I'm concerned. But I was looking forward to possibly seeing Kelly green. And I'm disappointed they didn't go with that. And, you know, overall, the idea, the creative work behind this branding is actually, I'm impressed by what they were able to come up with, but I'm still not a fan, personally. And I honestly feel that a name such as Totems or Thunderbirds or something like, say, the Seattle Cougars or the Seattle Schooners would have been much, much better. I do feel that Seattle should have gone with a team name and identity that actually paid much more homage to Seattle's hockey history. But that primary crest the Kraken have come up with, I do have to say, I do think that it is far, far better than what I had anticipated. But I am definitely, probably in the minority. I'm not a lover of the Kraken name. I don't think it's got a timeless classic feel. I don't. I think the S logo is not a great primary mark. But for the Kraken, I think it's probably the best thing they could have come up with. And I think that compared to what I was expecting, this logo looks amazing compared to what I thought it was going to be. But I got to be honest, I know a lot of people are preferring Kraken, and I'm sure a lot of people are not going to agree with me. But I am very much of the belief that when you create an identity, it should be something that you can create something timeless with. Even the Vegas Golden Knights. I mean, am I a total lover of their uniforms and logos? Truth is, I'm not. I don't think that having a steel gray heavy away uniform is a great look. I'm not a lover of their away uniform. Their logo to me is still a love child between the Senators and the Los Angeles Kings. And it still reminds me of Magneto's mask. But their entire package looks a lot better than what the Kraken have come up with, in my opinion. And with the name Golden Knights, nobody seems to talk about this, and I'm really surprised, but across the street from T-Mobile Arena in Vegas is the Excalibur Hotel, which is medieval themed. And, you know, I think that the whole idea works. With Kraken, I get the Seattle references, but still, the Kraken is a mythological creature, where I was kind of hoping for something more realistic. But hey, for going for a name that I was totally hoping they were not going to do, I do feel that Seattle and Adidas actually did okay. And their uniforms, they're not my favorite, but I will say, they also could have been a whole lot worse. They did keep it relatively traditional. I gotta say, that's something I've noticed with Adidas. They go modern, but with main uniforms for both the Golden Knights and the Kraken here, they have kept it not too crazy. So I'll give them credit there, but I still think between the two newest NHL franchises, the Golden Knights look a lot better than the Kraken, I'm not going to lie. And I do think the name Golden Knights is a much better name than Kraken as well. But obviously, I am biased. But it'll be interesting to see what the Seattle Kraken do with their uniforms and branding over time. I mean, personally, deep down, I'm quietly hoping and keeping my fingers crossed that they one day decide to change their name. I'm not going to lie. But unfortunately, in my opinion, this is a name that's a little bit, it's like the Minnesota Wild. It's just not, to me, it's just not a great NHL team name. I think the idea here is interesting. But another thing, unlike the Kraken, I do think that the Wild's logo is a logo that can stand the test of time, where this one, as a primary crest, I'm just not feeling it. I mean, to me, these uniforms look like really good uniforms that you'd see mocked up on a computer, where they look great on a computer, but they don't look as anywhere near as good on actual ice in real life applications. But as I say all of this, though, I do want to take the moment here to officially welcome Seattle to the National Hockey League. I personally feel that Seattle should have had a team a long time ago. They are very deserving of an NHL franchise, and I'm happy to see those of you in Seattle finally getting your own NHL franchise. I think that Seattle is long, long overdue. So there is that as well. And a quick brief look at the history of hockey in Seattle. The Metropolitans were around in, I believe, 1915. And then in 1917, they won the Stanley Cup. I do want to one day see a throwback game between the Kraken and Canucks wearing Millionaires and Metropolitan throwbacks. I think that would be cool. It would be a great idea for a Winter Classic. And then in the mid-1970s, there was a Seattle ownership group that was trying to bring an NHL franchise to the city, where the team would have kept the WHL name of the Totems. But unfortunately for them, they had financial issues, I believe, and then that franchise never worked out, and Seattle did not get to see an NHL franchise be formed until now, as a result of the NHL's 32nd franchise, the Seattle Kraken. So I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with me on my views that the Seattle Kraken is a terrible choice for a team name. But I do think that the logos and their home uniform are not terrible. They're not my favorite. But I do think that the S shape of the Kraken logo is a great homage to the Metropolitans. And I do think the Kraken should at least get some type of positive credit for at least doing something significant to acknowledge Seattle's long hockey history, which I think was a great move on their part with this here. So something I did mention earlier in the video is that Matt Merrill did say something incredibly interesting regarding future NHL uniforms. He said in his interview, alongside Nick Corbett, and I can't remember the name of the other fellow who was interviewing those two guys. My apologies there. But Matt Merrill said that supposedly Adidas is already working on designing new uniforms for the 2021-22 season. And he said there are multiple historical established franchises that are looking into new alternate designs. I found that very interesting. That tells me that the New York Rangers are probably getting a new alternate, probably Lady Liberty. I would say the Maple Leafs could even be looking at bringing back the Centennial Classic sweater. I have a feeling that it could happen. I also would expect the Pittsburgh Penguins to get a new third jersey. I'm not a big lover of their current one. I have a feeling they will do something new. I could even see possibly, speaking of older franchises, I think one team that would potentially look at a new alternate design that's older would be, if I were to make a guess at this point, let's see here. If I were to make a guess as for an older team that would be possibly looking at something new, I would honestly say the Los Angeles Kings. I have a funny feeling. Also, there has been talk that they are planning on updating their primary crest on their home and away jerseys. I would be shocked I would not be shocked if that could eventually lead to some new designs, maybe even a new third jersey. Detroit's been discussing a new third jersey. I know those plans were scrapped, thankfully. I hope they don't do one, but I would not be shocked in the 2020 or in the 2020s that we see Detroit do something new. I could even see possibly the New Jersey Devils do something new for once. You never know. And yeah, I mean, it's all major speculation at this point. I could even see Washington do something new as well. But anyways, folks, I have been talking for an exceptionally long time. If you did stick around for the entirety of this video, I hope you did enjoy it. The reason I wanted to do a long video here is that most channels out there do shorter videos around, 10 to 20 or 10 to 15 minutes at the most. I felt it was important to do something different, and what I like to do is I like to go into all the details and discuss everything to find details, because it's interesting to look at, especially in this scenario, to look through the lens of the Adidas design team, to look at what they were going for, the method behind their madness with their uniforms and color scheme and logos. Overall, for a name that I think is not good, I do tip my hat to Adidas and Seattle and the Seattle Kraken for what they've come up with, because honestly, they did far better than I was anticipating. I'm not going to lie. So, on a final note, welcome to the National Hockey League, Seattle. I wish those of you in Seattle and Kraken fans beyond Washington State all the best, and I guarantee your team will be a team that does very well in the NHL, and it is long overdue for the Seattle or the city of Seattle, to get an NHL franchise. So now I'm going to play along the whole Kraken theme. So we look at the anchor, it goes down into the ocean. There's the Kraken. There's Mount Rainier, kind of the area, or everything between Mount Rainier and the ocean, and Red Alert. So there's the Kraken flowing down here, the navy blue backdrop, and now we will end the video by going into the deep depths of the Pacific Ocean. Okay, I'm just kidding. But anyways, folks, if you did stick around, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I know it's been exceptionally long and probably the longest Seattle Kraken related video on YouTube to date. But I felt it was worth it. And if you did enjoy it, great. If you didn't, I understand. And if you disagree with me, I understand. I'm sure most people will. And I respect your opinions. But anyways, I will be finally concluding this video at this point. And until my next video, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take care. And as I always say, bye for now.